Hello again, everybody. Welcome into Gamecock Central Radio. Emerson Phillips with Wes Mitchell. And Wes, give me a few adjectives to describe the way Gamecock fans are feeling right now after this loss at home today to the Citadel.
Do you have a beep button handy? I think I don't know if we can use all the words I heard in walking out of the stadium here a few minutes ago. Obviously, fans are shocked, mad, upset. I think about every negative word you could think of is probably going through the minds or coming out of the mouths of Gamecock Nation right now, I think.
Yeah, and fans that watched the game, they saw what happened. Really no need to go too deep into it, I don't think. The final score speaks for itself. But, Wes, I was shocked at the way that South Carolina was unable to establish the line of scrimmage against a Citadel team that clearly had a size disadvantage on the line of scrimmage, and the Gamecocks were not able to run the football at all today, and I was very surprised to see that.
Yeah, I think, first of all, top to bottom, you have to just say that there was really nothing, I don't think, fluky about this. It seemed like the Citadel just straight up outplayed, out-executed, and beat South Carolina. And, they have one of those offenses where, if you can put them behind the sticks, put them off schedule, so to speak, you can get them off the field. If you can get a big lead in the game, you can kind of take them out of their offense a little bit, and it kind of works against them because the clock is always running. But you look at the game as a whole, if they can get a lead, then that definitely plays into their hands as far as what they want to do. And, if they can get positive yardage on first down, then that plays into what they want to do. So, I thought the Citadel was able to do what they wanted to do running the football for most of the game. I felt like Carolina kind of adjusted probably late second quarter through most of the third quarter. Carolina was able to do that. But then, like you said, you look at the offensive side of the ball for South Carolina. They were good in pass protection, I thought, for the most part. But, you're talking about a Citadel defensive line that I think has a defensive tackle at 275 and a defensive tackle at 248, I think, pounds. That's a team South Carolina should be able to wear down as the game goes on. And I was sitting there watching. I'm not one of these guys. You hear some fans are like, you got to get in the I formation. You got to get in the I formation. And they think that fixes all problems. But I'm not generally one of those guys. Most teams spread you out and run the football that way. But against a team like this, Carolina did run a little bit of I formation. I was sitting there saying, especially once they finally did cut into that lead and then finally take a lead, I'm saying get in the I formation and see if, as this game goes on, you can actually maybe wear them down a little bit, because the shotgun running stuff just was not working against that much smaller Citadel defensive line.
Talking with Wes Mitchell here after the Citadel's victory over South Carolina today on Gamecock Central Radio here. Wes, Tyler Renew, the fullback in the Citadel triple option offense, is out of Ben Lippen High School. He's from Columbia. He sold peanuts at Carolina games just a few years ago when he was a youngster, and now he is the running back for the Citadel, and he ran for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns today.
Yeah. Not a guy that South Carolina really recruited, not a guy that that you heard much about at all, I think, as far as covering South Carolina's recruiting process. So I'm sure a just storybook, I guess, day for him. Did it the hard way, then had some long runs as well. And that, I think, you go back to it, that was one of the keys. That, they would hit that little inside fullback type dive, and they get that positive yardage on early downs, and then when that offense gets on schedule or ahead of schedule, so to speak, it's very, very difficult to stop.
Wes, the 93-yard touchdown catch that was nullified by a penalty in the final minute of the game by Pharaoh Cooper, the TD grab that was called back. Any thoughts on that? My feeling is that the Gamecocks never should have been in a position to need a TD, that late in the game to win, and even if it was a blown call, I'm not interested in hearing about that. How about you?
With you, I was actually on the sideline right in front of the play. I didn't see anything. I think I'd like to go see the replay to know for sure. But at the end of the day, like you said, you put yourself in a situation where you're needing a 93-yard touchdown with less than a minute to go, and those type of things can happen. Football is one of the games where you're not always going to get the break, so you have to put yourself in a situation where even if you don't get a break, you still win the football game. And for South Carolina, they didn't get a break there, but they had already put themselves in that situation. Had opportunities to go win this game and just were unable to do it, and unable to get off the field at times as well.
Wes, it felt like a very difficult year coming into this game today. Now it feels like a complete train wreck, and now the Gamecocks have got the number one ranked team in the country, their arch rivals from Clemson, coming in next week. Talk about that game a little bit, and is there any hope at all that the Gamecocks will show up and look like a much different football team next Saturday?
I mean, you never say never, do you? It's one of those things where, I mean, we've seen this football team go to head-to-head with some pretty good teams, and then we've seen them, obviously, lose to the Citadel today. So, maybe Sean Elliott can rally the troops, and maybe he can rally them one more time for one more game, But it's hard to predict that, right? Like, sitting here today, it's hard to be like, oh, yeah, this is the team that's going to pull the upset of the the upset of the century as far as this rivalry goes.
Yeah.
I mean, who in their right mind is going to sit here today and predict that? I think a lot will have to go the Gamecocks' way for that to happen. And, I think it starts with just putting this game behind them, and so this obviously, I think we can say it now. I think we already knew, but I think we can say it with 100% certainty. This will be Sean Elliott's last game, running this program, unless he's the coach, 6-10 years from now or something. He's not going to get the gig. So, I'm sure he will try to rally this team around, one last game. All of these guys will never be on the team together again. There's going to be changes every year. There's going to be tons of changes at the end of this season. I'm sure Sean Elliott will pull on the heartstrings, and he will do everything he can to rally this team. The thing is, will it really matter? This game was going to be very, very hard to win anyway.
Yeah, it was going to be tough regardless, and now it seems like, boy, Clemson's really going to be licking their chops coming into Williams-Brice next week, so we'll see how it goes. Wes, thanks for your time today, and we'll do it again next week. Thank you.
All right, Emerson, you have a good one, man.
All right, that's Wes Mitchell, and I'm Emerson Phillips, and this is Gamecock Central Radio.